Hello, thank you for joining me on our daily commute. I'm going to just imagine that you're going to come along with me across our lawn of our home. Sometimes if it's been raining or dewy, by the time we get to the garage door, we've got sodden feet. But I'm just going to imagine that you are coming with me now and you're going to hop in the car with me and we are going to go on our daily commute together. I'm going to share with you our daily commute. First off, I've got Mr. Gatekeeper. There is Jamie. He is taking a meander along the driveway and to open the gate for me, because part of our daily commute involves 3 gates that need to be opened and closed, which you will be seeing. Because what I've done is I've just taken the little GoPro and done some filming. So please do excuse some of the filming because it's bits and pieces from different times and places. So there's not going to be consistency as far as weather. Sometimes it'll be raining, sometimes we'll have dark times, evening shots. And so if you can just bear with me, because this is how it's going to be. I'm just taking bits and pieces of the footage we've got, and I put it together to share it with you. So we have left our driveway and we are now going down the gravel road, and this kind person and their bakkie has pulled over. That is just how it is in these places where somebody's coming the other way, we generally just pull over and let them pass. That is just the general unspoken rule of country living driving. Okay, and now I'm showing you this Wattle Forest. This is right next to our home. Well, actually, before it was Wattle Forest, it was a pine forest. And when it was a pine forest, we used to go and hunt for mushrooms. But now that it's Wattle Forest, there's not the same mushrooms growing there, so we don't do that anymore. Okay, so back on our commute, here we are at the end of the strip of road outside our driveway. And because we live at the top of a hill, this road that we're going to go down is actually all the way down to the bottom, to where the lake is. And what we did is we got out of the car. Well, in actual fact, one of us, I don't recall if it was Jamie or myself, because I'm on my way to take Jamie to the studio. That's what happens each morning. I'm going to tell you about that as well just now. But what we did is we got out and the one person drove the car and the other one walked down with the camera, just to give you an idea of our commute. As you can see, this strip of road is lined by a lovely avenue of London plane trees. And we're going to now just speed this up. We don't normally drive that fast. This isn't for real. We actually just speed this up with clever video editing that we can do. Well, more to the point that Jamie does. And so this is what it looks like. We go all the way down this gravel road, and as you will notice, there are forests on either side. So you can tell by now that we live in forest country, which is rather wonderful. We are extremely blessed. One of the reasons I wanted to share this commute with you was just to actually share the blessings that we have, because why would I want to keep them to ourselves? And one of the blessings is that we always have some experience of some kind. There's never a dull moment on these commutes. For example, this particular day when we came down and around the corner here, you will see that we're going to come across a lake up there on the top right. And as we went up on the ridge, as we were going to cross the wall of this dam, we actually saw something very interesting, which I want to share with you. First of all, have you ever seen a Dalmatian horse? Okay, so this horse came meandering down the road and followed by that other one in the distance that you can see, which I'll show you again just now. But let's just look at this horse. A spotty black and white horse has gone down to the water's edge to meet up with all his friends. And what we were fascinated by here was to see the activity of the horses, because they started to play. So we stopped for a few moments and we watched the horses. And this is what is so wonderful about this daily commute, is because something of interest is always taking place, we get the opportunity to stop and watch and just take in what is going on around us. And I mean, I know it is very privileged life that we have by being able to have this experience of just watching these horses playing and enjoying the water. And that isn't necessarily the case for everybody, but hence the reason for me wanting to share it with you, so that you can actually just share this moment with me. As I said, I'm just imagining you are here with me and we are going on this commute together, and I'm just sharing moments with you that have been a blessing and are a daily blessing to us. I'm hoping they'll be a blessing for you too. one of my favorite horses on this private nature reserve where we live is this beautiful black and white horse. I don't know what this horse's name is, but I think I should find out. He's going to be coming into shot now. You see that one coming in on the right. This is so beautiful. So we're back on the road and up we go now. As you've gathered, we went down a hill, down to the dam at the bottom, and now we're going back up the other side. This is very hilly country. This is KwaZulu-Natal Midlands. It is very, very hilly. And here we have another moment to pause and wait, because in the country, zebras have right of way. So we just have to slow down and we have to wait while the zebras decide which side of the road they'd like to be on. Very often, they just actually take their time walking up the road, as you can see. You know, they're in the middle of the road, then on the other side of the road, and so it goes. But here we have what my mother calls tails of Africa. See the zebra's tails swishing away happily, and we get just to follow along behind them and enjoy the moment. And we wait. We don't hurry the zebras. They actually can be quite dangerous, so you've got to respect them and just be careful. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to encourage your children to go and do some research on zebras and find out just how dangerous they actually are. We actually have a high respect and regard of these zebras because they can be dangerous, as I've said. But you know what? They're also very helpful for us because they like our lawnmowers. They actually do come and eat the grass on our lawn. In fact, one time we had some visitors come to stay with us and they had a Combi VW vehicle and they parked it on the grass, and we said to them, we don't think you should park your car there because, you know, we have zebras coming and eating the grass. They didn't really believe that because they thought, oh yeah, really? They didn't really believe it. But anyway, you know what happened is the zebras did come and eat the grass, and somebody walked onto the lawn and gave one of the zebras a fright, and the zebra jerked quickly and suddenly and backwards into the side of their vehicle. And this vehicle, this Combi, had a big dent in the side from where the zebra had banged into it. So you see, you just have to be careful of the zebras. Okay, so we're back on the road again, and we are on our way to the studio, which I'm going to be telling you about. But now we have something other than an animal crossing. Here we have the tractor with the roller on it. So grateful for all the hard work that the people here on this private nature reserve do to keep the roads possible for us. So there he goes off the road so that I can pass. And I was going to tell you about the studio, but before I go there, I'm just going to stop and wave at our friendly tractor driver over here. Thank you, Mr. Tractor Driver. Thank you for all your service. And as we drive along here, you'll see the road does a hairpin to the right. That is the route that we take to go to Oikos Base. But before we go to Oikos Base, we're going to go up, keep to the left and go up around this corner to take you down to the studio, which is down on the other side of the hill. The studio is where we do all the recording for these little videos we make, for all the Oikos YouTube videos, for all the Oikos media, and also for that board game show, which are some videos that Jamie does for playing board games, you know, all the various tabletop board games that he sometimes films, either himself or a guest. And so we use the studio, which actually is a home, and the home was where my parents lived. Well, they got to a season in their life where they needed to move into Howick, and that is to a retirement village. And so we had this home here on this private nature reserve, not the home where we personally live, our family, but where my parents used to live. And so we have turned it into a studio because we're making use of it. Okay, now you'll probably notice there's quite a lot of wobbly as we go along because there's lots of bumps and dips, and I learned not long ago that one of the dips in the road is called a yump. I don't know if you know about that, but these dips in the roads are called yumps. And so we have a few severe yumps on this particular stretch, so we have to go very slowly. In fact, the speed limit where we live is 30 kilometers an hour, so that gives us a chance to go slowly. I'd like to point out something to you as we travel along here through the forest. You'll see on the left and the right side, it's quite thick vegetation. It's all indigenous, and the area we're going into now is indigenous. You would have noticed where we came, it was actual plantations, wattle, and so on. But now we are going down these concrete strips, which is going down into the indigenous part of the private nature reserve. And just there in the distance, you will see a little hint of a dam. That actually happens to be Albert Falls Dam, but it's not on this particular property. It's quite a distance away, but I just wanted to point it out to you. So what's really interesting about this daily commute of ours is you'll see now that we are going into the thicker indigenous section of the property. And in this area, the wildlife is different. It's really, really interesting. In a moment, I'm going to show you some bushbuck, male and female bushbuck, that suddenly appeared on the road. It's not really good footage, but I had to stop and take it because it's literally seconds that I had to be able to show you these two buck. It's not often that we get to see them right there on the road. They're normally in the bush on the side of the road. So there you'll see male and female bushbuck, and they are going to be gone in a few seconds. But that is just one of the experiences we can have when we're on our daily commute, is just to see a different kinds of species of buck. And then we continue through this thick indigenous section of the forest, of the property, and we are heading down to the studio, as I have mentioned, and I'm going to show you that in a moment. But in the meantime, we just really, really enjoy this part of the journey. You can see it is really quite different to the open landscape and hills that we came from on the other side of the mountain. As you can see by this thick forestation and indigenous landscape, it can get quite muddy and slippery. We have a lot of rain and a lot of mist. So this part of the road is sometimes quite difficult to pass. So again, it's good that we've got a 30-kilometer speed limit because we literally creep around here some of the time. Okay, we're nearly approaching the studio, and this has just given you a fairly good idea of the journey from our home to the studio. It is actually 4.5 kilometers. That's the length that it is. And it normally takes us between 10 or 20 minutes, all depending on what happens on the road as we go, as you have already experienced. So here we are. We turn around at another hairpin bend. You've discovered now we've got a few hairpin bends. And this one we swing around this way, and then we take another sharp turn into the property where we now run the studio from, where we are very, very blessed and privileged to be able to do all our recording here. This was the home of my parents, and it is now the home of the production studio. I'd like to point a few details out to you here. You see this door on the far right, the single door, and there's a window to the right of that and another window to the left of it with a little window box underneath. Actually, when my mom was living there, that window box was always filled with some wonderful flowering plants. So it's not anymore because I haven't been taking care of that. But anyway, sorry, Mom, for that. However, we are using that room now to record. And that particular room that I just pointed out is the edit suite. The next window along is the area that we use for our recording booth. And then that third window is where the living room is, and that is where we have the film studio. You might have seen some Oikos videos of us sitting in front of a fireplace, and that's where that recording would have been done. So this is the blessing we have of a wonderful place that we can spread ourselves out and do some filming and make these videos for you. You'll also notice there on the top right our little internet dish. Now that's a story in itself. I pointed out on the way down into this part of the reserve that I showed you the dam, Albert Falls Dam. Well, that little dish points across, it has a clear line of sight, and so that meant we were able to get a good internet connection here, which is rather rare because, as you've seen from the drive through, this is rather a hilly area with lots of trees and mountains in the way, so it's not easy to just get internet here. It is not always stable and easy, this internet, so we dream and hope of the day that we can have faster, clearer internet. But for now, we're grateful that it is what it is. So after dropping Jamie off here at the studio for him to get on with the day's productions, we head to Oikos Base. And we may encounter some other different kind of interesting experiences on the way, such as a broken down vehicle. There's always something happening, whether it be animals or tractors or whatever it might be, or even just mud that you have to try and navigate your way through. Okay, from this point on, you'll see the hairpin bend of coming down and around into the studio. I'm not going to take you back all the way we've just come because you've seen that. So we're just going to apply a little bit of video editing wonders here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop you to the Oikos gate, the Oikos driveway actually, which is basically us just backtracking all the way back the way we've just come, going off this reserve and then entering into Oikos's property, which is directly next door. It runs parallel with the nature reserve where we live. So here we are, entering in at the Oikos driveway, and I'm taking you down the little Oikos Avenue. We're very pleased with these trees because we planted them when they were tiny little saplings, and they've grown so fast. That's the gum trees, but there's also some yellow woods there that you'll see here on the left, and you can see they're much more slow growing. But anyway, they will be big one day too. So this is the Oikos driveway. This Oikos property has got a story of its own, how we acquired it. It's such an example of God's provision and his blessing upon this ministry. So here we are arriving at Oikos Base. We stop here, and I've just put the camera in a position where I can show you where I have got out and gone to open the gate, because I remember I've left Jamie at the studio now for him to continue with production work. So I don't have my gatekeeper with me. So I just open the gate and close the gate. And it's a good opportunity when we open and close gates to apply our prayer principle, which is whereby when we're opening and closing a gate, we pray for somebody specific. So that's what we use this time for opening and closing the gates, because there's a few of them, as I mentioned. So it's really a wonderful time for us just to pray for somebody that God leads us to pray for. And then we continue on with our day, and I'm going to now hop back in the car and continue down the road, the Oikos Road. We're going to stop here at this little dam that you see just over there, because I want to share with you that this is another moment in the day whereby we can enjoy something interesting, either a bird feeding or some little ducks playing. So it's just a very special time to be able just to take in this beautiful surroundings and God's gift to us. So that's the name of this dam is Reflections, and it's on the right-hand side of this road on our way down to Oikos, which you can see there on the left, that green roof. That is where Oikos Print House is. And that is where our daily commute stops for the day. And that's now we go into Oikos Print House and start making books and packing books and sending them off to those people that are families that are home educating and getting books for their children for home education purposes. So that's what this building is all about. You'll see those doors there. That's where we receive the, all the paper and goods from. And here we have the actual print house. Now, I have a quick story to tell you about this print house. It was built by means of putting up a steel frame, like a big shed. And then between the steel frame poles, uprights, we put in big ash blocks. And the steel frame, which is the main structure of the building, was actually donated to Oikos. It's quite an incredible story of, again, God's mighty provision and his hand of blessing upon us. All right, and now this is our journey back home. We're continuing on our commute. We've spent the day at the print house, let's just pretend, and again back to video editing wonders. And this is the journey home now. So once again, it's gravel road, as you've noticed. Everywhere we go is gravel road, other than the odd concrete strip here and there. I just want to stop here for a moment and show you these concrete blocks. They have been very, very efficient in keeping areas of the road together where before they were just about impossible. So I just thought I would share that with you for people that it might be of interest to, because they have been so effective. I mean, in the past, we've put concrete strips down and basically just had many attempts at various methods to keep the roads in place. And these concrete blocks have been the answer. So that is just by the bar on our way through on our daily commute. So let's continue the journey now. As you'll see, it is grasslands and trees, and you'll see as we come down the ridge over here, if you keep looking to the right, you're going to spot the lake. It's one of our big dams, actually. It's called Lake Crystal. It's got a very appropriate name, and I'll show you why. So I do hope you've enjoyed this drive with me. I hope you've also got the feeling of the up and downhill. I hope you can experience the going downhill right now. You'll see the front of the bonnet of the car every now and then come into view and disappear and come into view and disappear. And that's because of the humps and the yumps on this road. On all the roads here on this reserve. But look at that gum tree. Isn't it spectacular? That's one of my favorite spots. Well, I have really enjoyed sharing with you our daily commute. I hope that you have too. I hope you've enjoyed this drive with me. It's been fun having you sitting there with me. Well, in my pretend world, I'm just imagining you sitting with me in the car and I'm sharing all this with you. This is the last little strip of our journey. We're going to come around the corner at the bottom, as you've experienced lots of corners and ups and downs. So we come around this corner and I want to share another blessing with you. And that is this amazing gift that we have here at this magnificent place that we live. And it is the fish eagle. If you look to the far left there in that forest, it's actually an indigenous forest there, you will see Mr. Fish Eagle. Can you just imagine? I want to actually just share with you the call of the fish eagle for a few seconds. It's just so incredible that we get to listen to that and hear that on an almost daily basis, just about, and not every single day, but almost every day. So there's just another moment of me being able to share with you the many blessings that we experience while living here in this nature reserve. So this is the last little bit. We're going to come around another corner and go up the very steep concrete strips to our home from where we started. As you jumped in the car with me and we went through that first gate that Jamie opened for us, you will see now as we get to the top of this hill, we will be arriving back at that gate. So we've done like a big loop. So here we are, back home at another gate, another opportunity to pray for whoever God lays on our heart. And now we're going to go back into some more video wonders, video editing wonders. And that is for me to show you zebras eating the grass on our lawn. You see, I told you they come and they are our lawnmowers for us. The tails of Africa happily wagging away and munching away on our grass. Actually, in our videos that we make, we have quite a strong theme of zebra coming through. Just simply because you can see why. They're very much a part of our lives. And also, we have learned a lot from them. I've got so many lessons that I have learned from the zebra. One of black and white and no compromise and not going in the grey zone and just a lot more, which aren't for this particular video. But let me show you something else on one of our nighttime drives, because it's very often that we get back from the studio quite late after doing some editing or videoing or whatever it is we're busy with. It's not an uncommon sight for us to see a hare bounce out of the bushes and get trapped in the headlights. Shame, poor thing. What also isn't uncommon is storms, especially through summer, because we live in the Natal Midlands after all. And so it's Natal and it's very, very hot in the day. Come the evening or late afternoon, it's not unusual for us to have rather fierce storms. And as you can see, they can give us quite a spectacular light show. So there we have our daily commute. Thank you for riding along with me. I'm glad I could share part of our day with you.